Welcome back to Midco Sports Tonight. It's time to talk Summit League women's hoops, and joining me to do that is our conference guru in Brad Newitt. Already called one of our games yesterday, South Dakota State and UND. So that's non-conference, obviously. Teams are not into the Summit League play till the end of December. So let's talk about these non-conference schedules, specifically on the women's side. They're kind of loaded. I mean, SDSU has Louisville coming up, Oklahoma coming up, USD. I just listened to Don Plitzewhite speak at the Lunch with the U event today, and so they play Wichita State, Oklahoma State, Tennessee. I mean, so kind of talk about these non-conference schedules.
And have already been to Iowa State
to
start the year. And so I think one of the things that's really cool is that these top teams, especially in the Summit League, you look at like South Dakota State, USD, Western Illinois, to name those three, because I think those three are the class of the Summit League right now on the women's side. But they're not afraid to challenge themselves in the non-conference. And, you know, South Dakota State's always kind of been there. Aaron Johnson loves to go out and really challenge his team. But it's great to see these other schools now following suit. I think it's really going to help the strength of the Summit League. And who knows, maybe down the road, that could help the Summit League potentially get 2 bids in the NCAA tournament. And you look at the quality of these top teams on the women's side, USD, South Dakota State, Western Illinois, they're all very capable of winning games in the NCAA tournament if they can get there. So that's what excites me about some of these schedules that we see.
Well, exactly. I mean, even a few years back, we saw South Dakota State upset Miami and then lose to Stanford by 1 point. I mean, they were 1 point away from being a Sweet 16 team. So now, healthy Maci Miller, they're looking good, and this is Western Illinois and USD as well. So let's talk about some of these early standouts. First of all, for SDSU, Maci Miller making her return, and it doesn't look like she's missed a beat.
Yeah, I mean, for a player that only played in 9 games last year, you know, had that tough knee injury, it seems like she's come back just as good as she's ever been, and maybe even better. I mean, averaging nearly 20 points a game through 3 games and really leading this team. Got in a little bit of foul trouble in the game last night against North Dakota. Didn't play a lot in the first half. But her second half performance in a game where her team really struggled offensively was huge.
Yeah, she's been awesome, and it's interesting to me, and it's great to see, but a lot of times when you see women go down with these knee injuries, when they come back, sometimes they're a step slower. It's just, you know, it's hard to heal. It's a very difficult injury, but Maci Miller, I don't know if she hit the rehab super hard. She looks like she has not missed a beat, so very happy for her. Also, Alison Arns on USD off to a giant scoring start, but just still doing a lot for her team.
Well, she was a breakthrough player last year. I mean, had an amazing season, really led USD in a lot of ways, obviously scoring, but in so many other ways. I think kind of the heart and soul of this team, and she is really shooting the basketball well, and if that can continue, that really helps you know, USD's squad, and like you mentioned, they've got a tough schedule coming up with some of these non-con games.
And then finally, a girl that's really having a great year, one of our former interns from this summer, Ellie Brecht from Omaha, Sioux Falls native. So what have you thought about her so far?
Well, as much as it pains me to see these highlights, because I am a Kansas State alum, but Omaha went down there, and Ellie Brecht had 20 points in this game against the Wildcats. Unfortunately for Omaha, they came up a little bit short, but boy, she looks like she's maybe ready to take over the leading scoring role for Omaha, which would be great.
Yeah, it's always great to see her do so well, especially after she interned right here at Midco SN. Did a fantastic job for us. Well, we went over the freshman we didn't go over that yet. Let's go over that right now. The freshman standouts for the Summit League so far. And we have 2 in mind, but there are quite a few. But let's talk about Tylee Irwin on SDSU.
She's been a huge surprise, I think, for Aaron Johnson. I think they weren't really expecting her to be a major contributor this year, but she is really shooting the basketball well. Freshman out of Wapata, North Dakota, and she's got great size. She's almost 6 foot, 6'1", got long arms. So you could see her shooting over the defense, and she's been shooting it very well from the 3-point line.
And then Chloe Lamb for USD as well, South Dakota native, Sully Buttes High School.
Yeah, and again, I don't know how much Don Plitzewhite was planning on having her contribute. I don't think any coach really expects a lot out of a true freshman, but Lamb has had a great start as well, playing with a lot of confidence too.
Yeah, and that Iowa State game, I mean, it was a late game situation, and she was running the point for the Coyotes just as a freshman, her first debut for the Coyotes. But let's talk about surprise players here, and specifically one that comes to mind, Kate Liveringhouse on USD, an undersized post player, but she's getting it done all over.
She really is, and with the graduation of Abigail Fogg last year, I think there was a lot of questions, you know, what's going on in the post for USD on this women's team, but Liveringhouse has had a fantastic start to the year. 17 points at Iowa State, Followed that up with 18 against Creighton, and she has been a force inside. If USD can get that inside-out scoring with her and Alison Arns going, they're going to be really tough to shut down.
Yeah, and it's great to see, especially when Alison Arns, she draws so much attention driving into the paint, and then Kate just has to spot up out there. But she has definitely worked on that outside game because she's knocking down those threes. I think she's made 5 on the year already. Last year she made 9 total, so very happy to see that senior having a great start. Well, great stuff, Brad, but you are staying right here, and you guys should too, because coming up after the break, we are going to dive into the men's Summit League basketball, checking on the teams and players so far into this young season, so stay tuned.